Greetings, everyone. Question for you. Do you believe in magic, divinity, anything special, anything from the unknown? Well, you should. I know I'm special. I know I have some magic. My whole life, I've had magic. I don't know how to really explain it, but I do know that the whole course of my life, I have always been in the right place at the right time. This world is a small world, and I don't think you guys know how small it is. Because I don't think most of us travel. We'll go on vacation somewhere, probably jot it on a map, but will we explore like that little child we used to be? That inner child that's inside here. I know I have. I've stepped foot on 68 countries. By the time I stepped foot on 68 countries, I was already a professional athlete, actor, theater, musician, massage therapist, among a few things. But those were bonuses, because I eventually left the United States after the military. And my story is really compact, really short. Went to the military, played professional ball, traveled 68 countries, and was able to mingle with maybe over 2 million people. I always say over a million because I know I've gotten to know more than 1 million people. I've actually shook hands, gave hugs, broke bread many times with people, and all from different countries. I was telling a friend of mine that when I started to travel, I saw 8 friends that I graduated from high school. And to see 8 friends that I graduated from high school in different countries has to prove to me, I don't know about to you, but to me, that it's a small world. Also in the military, when we went diving, we also were able to touch 2 continents, stretch out the arms and touch 2 continents, Africa and America. And it's amazing. You see it on the map, it looks so far away, but it isn't. It's funny the things that we're taught and the things that we digest and the things that we're conditioned to, because it's very difficult to shake them off, just get rid of them, drop the baggage. It took me a while before I would drop the baggage. But I realized how special I was ever since I was a little kid. And then when I got to Europe, I noticed that the people in Europe were into this spirituality. There were people they were still in religion. Don't get me wrong, I will not downsize any of these beautiful things, because everything has something to do with spirituality. Everything. Whether it's the stories or the books and the Bibles, whatever it is, everything is a legend of spirituality. Spirituality was here first, for sure. Because if you explore the 68 continents, you'll see that there was no religion everywhere. And after a while, you see that religion was diversified little by little by little by little until it came to what it is right now. And coming back here to the United States, it doesn't seem like it exists, because people don't know about, or don't go to church, for instance, or don't act in the religious ways, but there is a spirit, and I see that within people, but they are not spiritual. They're not using their spirituality. It's very difficult to do, because you have to walk in this perfect line of good character. And this perfect line of good character is you walking in that good character. Treating every person the way you wanted to be treated. Talking to people the way you wanted to be talked to. But I don't think you really understand that, because the ego has our heads this big, even bigger, but just so you can see it on camera, this big. most likely it would stretch out a continent, all these egos. And it's easy to break them down. I've done that for a little while, but it's no fun, trying to battle someone in information. When I was young, internet wasn't big. The encyclopedia was even bigger. You had to really learn things on the fly. So if you weren't in whatever group it was, you didn't learn the tricks of the trade. So safe to say that anyone watching really didn't travel to 68 countries, so you didn't learn the tricks of the trade from all these people. But you have heard from NGC, National Geographic, you have heard from the Discovery Channel, you have heard from the Disney Channel, you have heard from news, you have heard from YouTube, you have heard from BitChute, Rumble, emails, etc., etc. But I will never battle you in a conversation because I know that you come to the table with very little. And I don't say this to be mean, but you're coming to anything that comes off the television is not pure fact for me, and also anything that comes out of a book is really not pure fact for me. If you did not step foot onto the continent in that country, then I don't think you know about it. To prove a fact, during Desert Storm, when I was deployed there, friends of mine would record videos in Europe. Family that lived in Europe would record videos from CNN International. And I asked them, just out of a whim, to record these things for me for later on, for posterity. And I had my mother also document CNN International here in the States. So everything that was coming here in the States that she was documenting, America was winning. Everything that was documented in Europe, America was losing. So you can see that the mainstream media is totally different, but the thing is you have to be there to really understand it. When I arrived in Europe, when I moved out there and I arrived in Europe, someone told me that the biggest experiment is America. And I laughed, I giggled. I was a patriot, I was hardcore, Marine, ball player, raised here. But I really didn't understand what they were saying, but it was locked in the subconscious. And when I started to travel country to country, I started hearing the same things about America being a target point for experiment. Of course, everywhere around the world was an experiment. But the country I was living was in a big one. And I couldn't see it as a third person until maybe about 5, maybe 8, I'd say closer to 8 years that I was living in Europe. I saw, bells and whistles started going off. And I realized that there is an experiment going on over there. Holy moly, I'm glad I'm not part of that anymore. So I stayed in Europe. I didn't think about coming back because America had nothing for me. When I got out of the military, they didn't want to take care of me. And the family that I grew up with, they expunged me. So I thought, forget them. Let them rot. But I didn't realize all the people that I've been protecting here in the world would rot as well. And that sat uneasy with me, back then. So I didn't know really what to do, but the subconscious kept on documenting all these things. I guess that's why I sit here and do the videos now. I have the website, Healing the World, trying to be an activist, trying to get out there one-on-one with people and trying to awaken them. Because I'm not someone with the $1 billion that can tell you, hey, Dow Jones, that's going to go up and down. So I'm not one of those billionaires. I'm just a real life person who had a lot of information and had the ability to travel to 68 countries to prove all the lies that we were seeing on TV. Remember, tell a vision tells you a vision. Tell lie vision tells you a lie. whichever way you want to see it. I know you're awakened now because you have this woke society. So I'm sure you're a little awakened to what I'm talking about. But I'm not talking to you woke people. Alright, let's scrape you to the side for a moment. I don't even want to really argue with you, but I'm speaking to the awakened, or the people that are just about on the cusp of stop sleepwalking. Because I'm not trying to awaken the sleepwalkers, because I know that if you awaken the sleepwalker, they have a heart attack. Don't want to do that. So I just need you to know the truth. But the thing is, you're not going to learn the truth until you walk those steps, until you do the research. I can come to you with a book with a whole bunch of information, but that's not going to help. I can come to you with a whole bunch of solutions. That's not going to help. Anything that's you see off the television usually gets parroted out of your mouth. And you parrot the virus, whatever virus they're sending out. I know there's a lot of pigs in the world that don't care about anything. So they're not going to sit there and digest whatever the parrots are saying. But the sheep, however, will digest. Some of those will become half sheep, half parrots, parasheeps, sheep parrots. I don't know what you want to call them. But there are wolves out there. And those wolves are us. And I'm not talking about the wolves that sit there and huff, puff, and blow your house down. I'm talking about the wolves that sit there and defend their pack. Now, we defend our pack, the awakened. We would love to defend the sheep, but the thing is, yeah, you're going to probably get eaten by whoever is running the show, because this is a world stage. But most of us don't really want to admit it. I know my generation understands that the world is a stage. We've heard it. We've known for years that the television is not truthful. We know that the regular media, before it became mainstream media, was not truthful. So we're not silly, we're not stupid. We may have fell asleep, we may have slumbered, but not all of us are totally dead brain. There's a couple of social media sites out there that are on the down low, and we reach out to each other. I'm not going to sit here and promote them, because we already know what YouTube does. I mean, I can't even talk about the word that has a V and an X, and in the middle is the first letter of the alphabet. I can't talk about that either. Otherwise, AI will sit there and destroy my channel again and again. But we also know that AI isn't so smart. The smartphones aren't so smart. Computers aren't so smart. Because there has to be a human to sit there and restart it, press the button, fix it, reset the phone. So we already know that the human is more smarter than the smartphone. So the thing is, if you could drop that smartphone, drop that computer, it'd be great. If you could drop that credit card, it'd be great. I know it is not possible because they made it so convenient. Convenient. Very beautiful word. Because that's how they enslaved Generation X, with convenience. I remember when we had a remote, when I was a kid, it was this person that you're looking at right now. Turn the channel. Put it on the news. All right, it's over. We were everything. We used to have gardens in the backyard. We used to have our own fruits, our own vegetables, our own chickens. Some people had goats. You know, that was amazing to see in the suburbs. I would have never thought of that. But my family wasn't one to drink sheep's milk, you know, and goat's milk, or eat lamb. So we didn't know the idea of raising cattle or sheep, but we did know chickens, and we raised a lot of chickens. My father came from the Dominican Republic, so he had a lot. He'd walk out there one day, call my name, come on over. All right, grab a chicken. And I try. He'd laugh. But there was one day I caught him, and I brought it to him. He grabs it. You hear it, and snap the neck. Next thing you knew, he cut it and just drained it. And I was like, wow, that's some serious something. But that evening we ate chicken. I didn't know that that's how chickens got onto the table. And then later on, decades later, you see that there's machinery coming in, and now livestock is in a small little cubicle being raised instead of grass-fed. Same thing with the animals and the cows and sheep. All of them are now being tortured in order to give us food. When I realized that, I became a vegetarian, vegan for a really long time. Then I went to raw food. And then I went back to vegetarian. But there are so many different ways that you can keep yourself healthy. And you have to really research it. I'm not going to sit here and give you the information because they will cut off this channel. I can give you the cure for cancer. I've done it for people who off camera only because I know the cure for cancer. I know when I came back and I was doing security and we had to do security for medical facilities, we knew that they had the cure for cancer, but we couldn't say nothing. I can't tell you what it is right here because they'll cancel the channel. That's what that's all about. That's why I created a site that you're able to go on. In there, I created certain courses. On there, I created certain masterminds. And you're able to learn a lot of those things that will not be attached to social media. But, yeah, they come at a little expense. Not too much, but they do. Because I got to know the world before diseases. And then later on, when I was in Europe, living in Europe, they would tell me that America sponsors money on sick care, not health care. When I was in Japan and I got hurt and I had blood clots, the first person that took me to this place that makes teas and tinctures. I went there, explained to him what I had. I made a tincture. Here you go. And within days, cured, fine. But I have something, what they call factor V Leiden, so I clot. I continuously clot. But I believe that came out from a biological weapon that was induced and introduced to us in Desert Storm. Because that was the first time we've heard of biological chemical warfare. And we didn't see any biological chemical warfare. But biological chemical warfare was what they did to the Marines. Army, Navy, Air Force, but I'm a Marine. So they did it to us. Most of us come back with Gulf War syndrome. Next thing you know, most of the people that come from Desert Shield, they're homeless. They're almost just as homeless as the Vietnam vets. But before that, World War I, World War II, they were up on a pedestal. And I would love to tell you the story about that and the research about that, but we're not going to do it on YouTube. If we meet one-on-one, I'll sit there and I'll school you. I will become the grim teacher for you because you have to let go of that baggage. You have to give it up, throw it away. Anything that you've learned since your youth, you have to toss away in order to understand anything that I say to you. Otherwise, you'll just be battling me with TV, National Geographic, Discovery Channel, the news, education from school. I don't think you had encyclopedias. That was just my generation. So I don't think you're really coming to the table with anything. I didn't go to 68 countries and have television and the news, school me. I heard it from the horse's mouth. So all the stories that I learned and history that I learned, quickly expunged, tossed away. Slap that out of there. Doesn't exist. And if you learn about the mud flood and the people that they put on Ellis Island, you know, you'll understand a little bit more of your history, and you'll be able to piece in and pull the cord to all these rabbit holes so that you understand. Especially my generation. You're the last generation to know history of your grandparents, history of your parents. You know, so that group right there, that's about a good 100 years, 200 years, maybe 150, that you can really count for. But if you're smart enough and you can do the math, you'll understand that if you're Generation X, you saw plastics come in, you saw glasses, glasses be removed. We used to have milk in glass delivered to us, and it's plastic in a store. You'll understand muscular dystrophy and Nixon saying the war on cancer. And before that, there was no cancer. There wasn't nothing but muscular dystrophy and a couple of things. And all of a sudden, there's so many different types of epidemics. It's unreal. Among a few things. I mean, we used to drink from the spigot. We used to be able to go outside. We don't come home until the night street lamps are on. And we never had to worry about pedophiles or murderers or rapists, and none of that. That grew in our generation. But then if you're a Generation Xer, you should be smart enough to know that your mother and father's generation, they didn't have that many supermarkets. There's maybe one supermarket in the country, or if it was something like New York, there were maybe 5 around in different places. I don't even think there were 5. I think there were 3 major ones when I was a kid. And they were all next to each other. And every town had 3 or 4 right next to each other in one area. And for instance, cereal. We were introduced to cereal, big time. And there was only one aisle and maybe 4 shelves. Now there's one aisle, and that is stocked up, head to toe. So there was a great industrial revolution. There was a great food revolution. There was a great technology revolution. But there wasn't a human revolution. We were supposed to come from ancestors that were more attached to nature, more attached to understanding energy, spirit, and none of us use it. It was the gift. I mean, my generation knew about the Indians, so we knew, can't say that word. But we knew about the Native Americans. And those Native Americans had a language. And when they used that language, it would work in unison with body, mind, soul, universe, spirit. So if having this conversation in English, if it was Native American language, I would be speaking to all these entities, all these dimensions, and everything would be in a healing process, working simultaneously with each other. There was a synchronism back then. We learned this lower vibrational language to tear us away from the language that we speak. And there is a universal language. You Google it. There's a universal language. And that universal language is vibrations inside here. And then you'll see Native American and their history. And then you see African and their history. And they were using it. So you try your Wikipedia and it'll show it. I shouldn't have to teach it. I shouldn't even have to say it. But most of you wouldn't even want to learn because you don't care about what this is. I do. I always have. I've always known that I was more of a superhero than the X-Men. My favorite was Spider-Man and Wolverine, but I was more super than them, and I knew it as a kid. And I still do now. You know, whatever comes off the television is television, but that does come from a history and probably a legend. Could have been me. Who knows? We talk about past lives, but if they have past lives and we're able to come back and energy never dies, safe to say I'm my own ancestor. Who knows how many lives I've lived? Who knows how many transitions I've lived? Maybe it was just a celestial and I was part of the celestial. Maybe it was an astral and then I was part of the astral. Maybe it was a mental and then I was part of the mental. Maybe it's just spiritual and I was part of the spiritual. And then it got all the way down to physical and now I'm physical. It would show that I evolved. You know, I remember seeing my nephew, he loved this show. What was it called? Dragon Ball Z. And these fighters would be able to become a higher frequency of an individual with training. So it's safe to say that I became that higher individual in that training. Because you saw this one guy, oh, my nephew used to talk about him. I think his name is Frieza. Frieza was this big, huge monster, and all of a sudden became this small, little, wimpy looking guy. But he would touch you and stick his finger out at you, and the next thing you know, he's sending some kind of nuclear blast that destroyed the whole half of Earth or something. You're like, dang, wow, that's a lot of power. But then I thought, when I was a little kid, I believed that I had that, and I do. And like I said to you at the beginning of the show, I am a powerful being. There are many things that I've accomplished. You know, I jotted a couple down just to remind myself. I remember telling my brother when I was out of the military. I said, you know, it's right now, it's 1991. You should group together with people that you know, live together with them. 4, 5, 6, create your own business, become a powerhouse. Because 30 years from now, you're going to need each other. Look at the time now, they're going to need each other. I told him, why don't you come over to Europe, play professional ball, just like I do. He didn't want to go. But I got lucky. I wound up playing professional ball. Baseball, something called NFL Europe was the World League. So I got to play in the World League before it became NFL Europe. Small guy like me. Of course, I was a little bigger then, but small guy like me, short-wise, I was still able to play and destroy most of these 6-foot guys that were in Europe until they sent Americans to come over and better themselves to get their contract. Then I told them, travel, go out and travel to different countries. I wound up coming to 68 countries in that traveling. I told him, write a book. I'm going to write a book. So he said, I want to write a book. I sat there helping him edit his book, and now he has his book. I told him afterwards, I want to create a course. He said, I want to create a course. So I sat there, helped him with his course, and then he created his course. There was coaching. I did coaching, life coaching, soul coaching, spirit coaching, and he does business coaching. But he went out there and did it. I told him, become an entrepreneur. Get your own media channel. And he did it, but nothing came to fruition because of the way and the energy that he had using it against one of God's chosen. Now, I don't wish anything bad on anybody because that's why I gave him these pointers. I gave him these tips. But I've done the same thing as what he's done, and I've accomplished it. And I've been able to do it all on my own. Of course, there are a couple of people I really have to thank, because they went out of their way to take a look, take a peek, take a gander, and converse with me. So now I can say that the business that I'm running, I didn't do it alone. I did it with a couple of people, collectively. Mostly I was doing this on my own. I remember there was a time that my family kind of pushed me away. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't go home. So I have to stay out here in Europe. But I thought, okay, baseball can't be the only thing I do because I can't retire on it. So I studied a little bit of massage and graduated. I graduated from maybe several different massage schools, alternate therapy schools, herbal schools, acupuncture. But I didn't do that for the person, the individual person. I did it for me because I knew that I would be in 68 countries and I won't have medical. So I'd have to take care of this person. So I did. And then decades later, I come back to the States and I open up this business where it's going to help out the public, help out the people. Everything that I've learned on how to survive and keep myself fit, I'm able to bring back to all these people. And this year is going to be a wonderful year for everyone because there are so many organizations that are countering humanity and trying to destroy humanity that I know that I can counter it with 3 or 4 tinctures, 3 or 4 salves, 3 or 4 oils. I can even give a crash course on how you can survive and stay fit. And I won't hesitate to do that. I've done it for a while, but now I know that I have to help out a lot of more people. So that's the reason why I created a business, so I can use that money to help out more people. I would love to help out all those vets that are homeless. I'm a vet, so I would love to help them out. I would love to make sure that they're okay. I would love to help the people who are vaccine injured, because I'm vaccine injured. Because the first wave of biological weapons, the first wave of all that nonsense that came out 3 years ago was experimented on us. We're the ones that took the first heat. And after we came back, we realized that something was wrong with us. We didn't realize how bad it was until 2020, 2021. That's when we knew, oh, that's what that is. Isn't that funny? Oh, and you hear that big boom. Blow your mind right open. Just let you know, there's a reason for everything. And the spirits are always listening. Divinity is always listening. The Most High Source is always listening. I would love to give it a name, but I don't want to give it the names that everyone else has destroyed. But there is a source most high that is incredible. And if you really knew the truth of everyone that passed on, those are the ones that are connected to you, because everything is intrinsically connected. But you got to know that. You can't just hear it. You have to know it. You have to research. You have to feel it. You have to sense it. Like I said, we're all special. Every single one of us. I know I am more powerful than most of you. Only because I know what I have in here, in here, in here. I'm able to access it. I'm able to blow through the Akashic records. I am able to blow through DNA libraries. But the thing is, I can't sit here in the third world trying to talk to you in a third world language and trying to explain 1213D. This is 3D. You're never going to understand it. You'll feel it. You'll sense it. When you're around me, bing, I can touch you like that and give it to you. That's just how we have it. There are 144,000 people that have these gifts. And they're able to unlock a lot of people. I have met, I think, over 100 of them. So we were able to unlock each other and grow from that. But we're not all on the same, or in the same countries. Some of us might be on the same continent, but we're not all in the same countries. You have to know I could see through you. I could see through your lives. Even though you're hiding behind this with your eyes closed. I can't see me, can't see me. I can feel you and I can sense you. Whatever you think you're hiding, you can't. You never could. But I'm that beautiful inside that I'm not going to sit there and call you on it. I'm not going to sit there and let you know about it. Because I don't want you to make you feel uncomfortable. I need to treat you the way I wanted to be treated. I want to talk to you the way I want to be talked to. If I could see through you, I'm on to the next person. And if you're full of nothing, I'm definitely just on to the next person. This past year, maybe year and a half, I got to know a lot of my soul family. And there are definitely three that I have close by me right now. And they are all in the same state. Now, there are other people of my soul tribe, but they're not totally awakened yet. And like I said, you don't wake up a sleepwalker, they get a heart attack. So you gently guide them to the water. If they don't want to drink it, okay, you're going to be thirsty today. The moment you want to drink it, that's when I could take you a step further and just guide you, not give you, not teach you, not show you, guide you. You have to show you, you have to learn you have to see it. These eyes are not the eyes you should be listening with, and these are not the ears you should be listening with. There's a third ear, there's a third eye, there's a second heart. Or if you knew what your brain could do. I mean, science has already allowed a lot of information, and the truth movement has gotten a lot of information. Medical association has gotten a lot of information out, so there's a lot to search from. But for you to use something called discernment, that comes from in here. Yeah, you can keep on using this, but just remember, ever since you were a little kid, your first thought, anything that you were taught in school, till this very moment, has been locked up in a closet. And you have lots of closets stacked in a row, up and down, horizontally, vertically, lots of them. And anytime you want to have a good idea, you have to go back to the old closet to get a new idea. So nothing is fresh. That's why history repeats itself. Now, if you were able to unlock your DNA, your Akashic records, you'll be able to see a lot more and be able to go a lot further. There's not much I can do except for approach you on this 3D scribe mirror, record my video for you, and I hope you could read in between the lines. But that was my generation that was taught to read in between the lines and told that we had to. Any generation after that has not. And we were taught that by our parents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, because it went down the line. Because history is not as old as we think it is, especially for Generation X. I know most of you, if you lived on Long Island, New York like I did, you had dirt roads and some horse carriages. We didn't have paved highways. There was only one highway really paved going to the city and back. And in Long Island, I believe it was called the Saginaw Coast Parkway. It was the first parkway, And it took them a while before they built that. But I remember going up the block with my mother's Cadillac, and she's driving in a Cadillac, and we're watching the windows get all dirty because we're driving in the mud, and the wheels are spinning, and everyone else's wheels are spinning, coming by and forth, and we lived in a one-horse town pretty much. So I remember there's no Mandela effect that touched me, but I'm sure there's a lot that touched my generation. Donald Sutherland probably came and put a pot under your bed, and you just don't remember who you are. And that's for my generation. Only you would know that. Anyone after that's going to have to sit there and Google it. What's he talking about? What movie is he talking about? We know exactly which one. And that was a great movie. That was a great concept. I remember there was this other movie. Forget the actor. But this kid would play a video game. And when he was playing this video game, he sent these missiles to Russia. And he created this nuclear war. And Russia was really going to send back. And this was just a video game. War Games. That's what it was called. That was a good one. But they erased that off the face of the map. You can Google it, but you can't get it. It's very difficult. And if you want to get it, you're going to have to come to somebody that comes from my generation, Generation X. I know a dude lives out in a close borderline Nassau County. And this guy has every VHF, every video known to man. And there is a lot of documentation in our videos, in our movies, that they are erasing. And my generation has this movie site called Tubi, Tubi, and that was just our generation of movies. But if you hop on that and you try to watch a movie, it'll let you know, hey, it's going to be erased, it's going to be depleted, it's not going to be on the site anymore because there's too much information for it, and the times are changing that it would be too prejudiced, too racist, too aggressive. But we're the group that grew up with sticks and stones will break our bones, and our parents could beat the shit out of us. So yeah, that's the generation we grew up with. So we were tough. We went through a lot of things where we had no rules. We had only freedom. I think we had the most freedom. But it does tell you, Generation X, that you had the best lives. Most of you were born in the 60s, 70s, and then in your teens and 20s, you went through the best of the 80s. That's right, you became the best of the 80s. That's right. Everyone that was born in the best of the 80s, you're going through tough times right now. You did not have the freedoms that we did. You got stuck with social media, internet, isolation. Not us. We were special. Indigo children, star seeds, all those were born. But this isn't a battle about who's better. It's just a story, an account of a Generation Xer, born in the States, left the States when he was around 20, went in the military when he was like 19, started traveling the world around their 20s, got out of the military and started to live in Europe for 16, maybe 17 years. So he's got the best of all three worlds. So anything that comes from someone from school, education, National Geographic, Discovery, TV, I will counter that because I've heard history from the horse's mouth. 68 different countries, 68 different locals, and it was more than 68 different locals because, when you're one person, there's a group, and they're friends, and then you get invited to dinner. So now you're sitting with the elders, and now you're sitting with the older ones, and they have people that are 120, 115, 103. They still have their faculties. They weren't infected like the United States. It's like my grandmother and great grandmother. One is 115, the other one's 125, the other one died at 103. So, good ages. But they don't live in the United States. So, goes to show you that once you get out, you're able to explore and broaden your horizons, broaden your perception. But when you stay in one place, you're living inside that box. And if you can't get out of that box, everything that's taught to you, given to you, is inside that box. Handed to you on a silver platter. Here's your education, economics, entertainment, labor, law, religion, politics, sex, war, counter-war. I've got to see all that in 68 different countries. So not all laws are the same, not all rules are the same, not all politics are the same, not all religion is the same, not all education, economics, that list, none of it's the same. Everywhere is different. Pretty soon I'm going to, well, I already started. I have another site where I'm making videos. I'm not going to disclose it here right now. But if you know my name, Google it somewhere on YouTube, you'll probably find the site. I know I've said it. If you don't remember it, go back into the videos. Let it awaken you again. Once we hear things 3 times, it sits in there. You know how it is here in the United States. We go repetition, repetition, repetition. So go back. Check them out. See if you find it. If you get lucky, Google it and see if you can find my face. You do? There's some information specially for you. Now, once you digest those and you start graduating towards that awakeness, go out to BitChute. Go out to Rumble. There'll be videos over there, but that's totally different. It's not like YouTube. And you don't have to mind your P's and Q's. Of course, I'm not going to sit there and be a potty mouth, but you don't have to mind your P's and Q's. You don't have to worry about what you're talking about, what you say. You can just sit there and tell the truth. So if you're willing to do that, great. If not, great. Any which way, I'm awakened. And I'll still be there for you. And when the time comes, I'll protect you. So I love you. And as I learn from Max Egan in Lakesh, love you guys.